In a small, quiet village nestled beside a large green forest, there lived a woodcutter. He was not a person of great wealth, nor did he own many fancy things. However, his true riches were found in his spirit, for he possessed a very kind and gentle heart. Every person in the village, young and old, knew him. They all knew him to be a good man, always fair and always honest in his dealings. His days were quite simple, mostly filled with steady, hard work. He would wake up very early, just as the morning sun began to peek over the horizon. His life was a peaceful one, and though it was modest, he was content with what he had. The woodcutter's main job, the way he earned his keep, was to cut down trees in the nearby forest. After felling the trees, he would chop the wood into smaller, manageable pieces, and he would then take this wood to the village market to sell it to the townsfolk. With the small amount of money he earned, he would buy food and other necessities for his beloved family. His most important tool for this work was his trusty old axe. It was not a new axe by any means, nor was it a shiny or impressive one. It was made of strong, dark iron with a sturdy, well-worn wooden handle, a testament to its long service. He had used this very axe for many, many years, and it helped him provide for his loved ones each and every day. Life, you see, was not always easy or straightforward for this woodcutter. There were times when the weather turned bad with heavy rain or strong winds. On those particular days, he could not go out to the forest to work. This meant his family would have very little to eat or use. He often wished he had a bit more, just enough to make their lives a little more comfortable and secure. But even when things were very tough and worries clouded his mind, he never once complained loudly or at length. More importantly, he never ever considered trying to lie or cheat others just to get more for himself. He truly believed in the value of working hard and always being truthful in his words and actions. His honesty was like a bright, unwavering light shining from within him. Despite the many struggles and the hard work, the woodcutter found genuine joy in the small, everyday things. He loved the fresh, clean smell of the forest in the early morning light. He often paused in his work to listen to the beautiful songs of the birds as they flitted among the trees. But coming home at the end of a long day to his caring family was his greatest and most cherished happiness. He took time to teach his children important lessons, like how to always tell the truth, no matter what. He showed them, through his own example, that being a good and kind person was very, very important. Money was not everything in life, he would often tell them with a gentle smile. A good name and a clear, honest heart were treasures worth much more than gold or silver. One bright and sunny morning, the woodcutter set off for the forest, just as he did every other workday. He carried his familiar old iron axe, carefully balanced on his shoulder. On this particular day, he decided he would work near the wide flowing river. The river moved quite quickly and its water was refreshingly cool and remarkably clear. He soon found a tall, strong tree standing right by the edge of the riverbank, a perfect choice. He knew this tree would give him plenty of good, solid wood to take to the market. He carefully rolled up his sleeves, took a firm grip on his axe, and got ready to begin his challenging work under the warm sun. The woodcutter swung his trusty axe with all his considerable might. Chip, chop, chip! The sharp sound of the axe biting into the wood echoed clearly through the quiet trees. He was working very hard, concentrating fully on the task of felling the large tree. As he worked, his hands became a little sweaty from the continuous effort and the day's warmth. Suddenly, just as he lifted his axe high for another powerful swing, a terrible thing happened. Oh no! The axe, slick with sweat, slipped right from his grasp. It flew up high in the air for a brief, heart-stopping moment. Then, with a loud splash, it fell directly into the deep, fast-flowing river below. The woodcutter stared in disbelief at the spot where his precious axe had vanished beneath the water's surface. His heart immediately sank deep into his chest, heavy with a sudden dread. "My axe! My only axe!" he cried out loud, his voice filled with sorrow and despair. He knew, with a sinking feeling, that the river was far too deep and its current much too strong for him to retrieve it. He was not a strong swimmer, and the risk was too great. Without his essential axe, he could not cut wood. And if he could not cut wood, how would he possibly feed his hungry family now? Tears of frustration and worry began to well up in his tired eyes. He sat down heavily on the soft earth of the riverbank, feeling utterly hopeless and defeated. The sun still shone brightly in the clear blue sky, but for the woodcutter, everything around him suddenly felt dark and gloomy. He looked at the constantly flowing water, the very water that was now hiding his precious, indispensable tool. It was his only axe, the one tool he relied upon for his livelihood, the one he needed so very much. He had no extra money saved to buy a new one. That was simply not possible for him. What was he going to do? He truly did not know. He covered his face with his calloused hands and began to weep, his sadness as deep and as wide as the river itself. As the poor woodcutter sat there by the water's edge, his shoulders shaking with quiet sobs, something magical began to happen. Suddenly the surface of the river started to shimmer and then to glow with a soft, ethereal light. A beautiful, gentle light rose up from the very middle of the flowing water. And then, right before his astonished eyes, a lovely water fairy appeared, floating gracefully above the ripples. She had incredibly kind eyes that sparkled like the water, and a warm, gentle smile played upon her lips. Her voice, when she spoke, was as soft and as soothing as the sound of water flowing over smooth stones. "Good man," she said kindly, "why are you crying so sadly here all alone?" The woodcutter looked up, startled and amazed by her sudden magical presence. The woodcutter, still tearful but also hopeful, quickly told the beautiful fairy about his lost iron axe. He explained to her just how important that simple tool was for his work and for his family's survival. The water fairy listened very patiently to his entire story, her head tilted with an expression of understanding. Then she smiled at him reassuringly and gracefully dived down into the cool depths of the river. In just a moment she reappeared, rising from the water holding a truly magnificent axe. This axe was made of shining pure gold, and it gleamed brightly in the sunlight. "Is this your axe, good sir?" she asked, holding out the golden treasure towards him. The woodcutter looked at it closely, then slowly shook his head. "No, kind fairy," he replied honestly, "that beautiful axe is not mine." The woodcutter was truly amazed by the sight of the splendid golden axe. He knew it must be worth so much money, a real fortune that could change his life. But it was not his axe, and his conscience was clear. He could not and would not claim something that did not belong to him. The water fairy seemed to understand his thoughts and nodded gently. Then she dived into the clear water once more. This time she returned to the surface holding an axe made of gleaming polished silver. It sparkled and shone even more brightly than the golden one in the afternoon sun. "Perhaps this one is yours then?" she asked, her voice still kind and patient. Again the truly honest woodcutter looked carefully and then replied without hesitation, "No, that lovely silver axe is not mine either, dear fairy." The woodcutter thought for a moment about his plain, ordinary iron axe. He missed it terribly, even though it was not made of precious gold or shining silver. It was his own familiar tool. The water fairy smiled and her eyes seemed to twinkle. She was clearly pleased with his unwavering truthfulness. For a third and final time, she dived into the flowing river. When she came up this time, she was holding his old, familiar iron axe. It was wet from the river, of course, but it was unmistakably his own well-used tool. "And is this your axe?" she asked, her eyes now shining with approval. "Oh, yes, yes, kind fairy, that is my axe. That is truly my axe," cried the woodcutter with immense joy and relief filling his heart. The woodcutter was so incredibly happy to see his old familiar axe again. He reached out for it with eager hands, his heart overflowing with gratitude towards the kind fairy. The water fairy looked at him with great admiration, shining in her gentle eyes. "You are a very honest man indeed," she said, her voice warm and full of praise. "You could have easily claimed the valuable golden axe as your own. Or," she continued, "you could have just as easily taken the beautiful silver one when I offered it. But you chose to speak the truth every single time, good woodcutter, without any hesitation." His profound honesty had deeply impressed the generous and magical fairy of the river. "Because you have been so truthful, so completely honest, and so good in your heart," the fairy declared, "I wish to give you a very special gift." She smiled brightly at the humble woodcutter. "I want to reward your wonderful and rare honesty," she announced with a flourish. "You shall, of course, have your own iron axe back to continue your work." The woodcutter nodded, already feeling immense relief. "But I also give you the golden axe?" she continued, her voice ringing with generosity. "And in addition to that, I give you the silver axe as well. Take all 3 axes, good man, for you truly and fully deserve them for your unwavering integrity." The woodcutter could hardly believe his ears. He was speechless with surprise and gratitude. The woodcutter thanked the kind water fairy with all the sincerity in his heart, over and over again. He carefully took the 3 axes, his own iron one, the golden one, and the silver one, and hurried back to his small cottage. His family was absolutely overjoyed to see him return safely, and they were utterly amazed by the incredible gifts he brought. With this unexpected fortune, they were no longer poor. Their daily struggles and constant worries were finally over. The woodcutter wisely sold the precious golden and silver axes for a good price. He used the money carefully to provide a better life for his family and to ensure their comfort. He also generously shared his good fortune with other needy people in his village, never forgetting his humble beginnings. Importantly, he remained the same kind, humble, and deeply honest man he had always been. And so, the honest woodcutter and his family lived happily and comfortably for many, many years. His story, passed down through generations, teaches us all a very important and timeless lesson. It shows us clear as day that honesty truly is the best policy, always and forever. Telling the truth, even when it might seem difficult, can bring wonderful and unexpected rewards. Perhaps these rewards are not always treasures of gold or silver like in this wonderful old story, but honesty always brings peace to your heart, a clear conscience, and the genuine respect of others. Being honest, my friends, makes you a good person both inside and out, and that, you see, is the greatest and most valuable treasure of all.